cost of a college education is rapidly rising, far more than the cost of inflation, more than even the cost of health care, but I don't hear a peep about it in the media.
Becoming more and more and more expensive to go to college.
You are seeing the potential of an economically lost generation.
And the average debt for a college senior right now is over $25,000.
Because in the United States of America, no one should go broke because they chose to go to college.
Well, not everyone can get into an Ivy League education, so what's the truth about acceptance rates at these schools? How hard is it?
Yeah, I mean, these schools are extraordinarily selective, and in a lot of cases, less than 10% of the students who actually apply wind up getting in. And along with being incredibly selective, they're also incredibly expensive. So these are going to be among the most expensive schools in the entire United States, and in some cases in the entire world.
Okay. Here's another question, this one from Mark of Long Island, New York, and he writes, what if you really want to go to an Ivy League college, but you're really afraid you can't afford the price tag? What do you recommend? Now, I know a lot of these schools do give scholarships on a need basis. So.
And that's important here. You shouldn't not apply because you're afraid that you ultimately won't get enough financial aid. Apply, see what the financial aid package looks like, and then based on that, what most people don't realize is schools tend to have a one-time financial aid reevaluation policy. So you're actually allowed to go down to the financial aid office and say, look, this is the amount of money you awarded me. This isn't enough. And here's why I think it isn't enough. Here's some personal factors you may not have considered. And they'll reevaluate it on the spot and may give you even more money. So I would say apply, see what they give you, and then talk to them if that's not enough. Don't be afraid to apply.
Sure doesn't hurt to apply. And this leads to the next question. James of Waterbury sends his question via Facebook, and he asks, in the same vein, are there any programs that help low-income students afford Ivy League colleges?
Yeah, there's actually a website called projectonstudentdebt.org, and this groups together Ivy League colleges and other highly selective colleges that a couple years ago implemented a new policy where if your family makes between $120,000 and $180,000, these Ivy League schools, including Harvard, Princeton, and Yale, Stanford as well, you only have to pay 10% of your annual income for tuition. So regardless of what the sticker price is, if you make between 120 and 180, it's 10% of your income.
But a low-income family would make way below that. So what are the options for
a lower-income family, in some cases, don't have to pay anything at all. So Project on Student Debt goes school by school of these participating universities, and they break it down into what's your income level and what sort of breaks and advantages are these schools offering.
Now, number 2 on your list is a name I wouldn't probably expect to hear on this. Harvard. We think it's hard to get into, very expensive, and everything else that comes with Harvard, but they do well with financial aid.
Absolutely. 6,600 kids at Harvard, all Renaissance students when you start to think about it, but $53,500 sticker price. But listen to the grant, it is free money, $44,000 that they're giving out, bringing that right around to that $9,500 mark. Yeah.
I'm still stuck on the $53,000 without all the add-ons there to help you out. That's incredible.
It absolutely is, and it's total cost of return. So this is tuition, room and board, fees, books. It's the total cost of what you expect.
Yes, it is true. For another year, Harvard University announced this coming Friday that undergraduates for the 2014 class, coming in the 2014 class, for low-income families will pay no tuition on the 2018 loan. President Drew Faust announced that if your family earns less than $60,000 a year, and you have an honors graduate student, you can attend the Harvard University and pay absolutely no tuition.
I have to admit, when I first saw an email that said that Harvard was offering up a no parental contribution for students whose families made under $60,000. I thought it was an urban myth. What's the likelihood of finding a student whose family makes under $60,000 who's going to post the scores and the GPAs that Harvard has?
We have about 18% of the freshman class this year who fits that category. We want to make sure that people who are talented and can take fullest advantage of the opportunities here can come regardless of their financial circumstances.
Alyssa Mackey is one of those students.
When I was actually applying to schools, my father passed away. And so, like I said, that just dramatically changed our financial situation. And so that's why I'm in need of the assistance. When I applied, I didn't know about the financial aid initiative, and it wasn't until about 3 weeks before I showed up on campus freshman year that I got my financial aid package. And I remember my mom opening the letter and, you know, thinking that there was a mistake because it said family contribution 0.
When you started here at Harvard, you had a responsibility as part of the financial aid package that you were receiving, right?
There is a student contribution. It's not a lot of money, but it's supposed to come from your summer earnings.
There are many college presidents who are struggling with how to attract students from historically disadvantaged populations and what they can do. What is it you would say to them?
We have to send the message to students that we want them and that those of us who can support the financial aid programs like ours will do so.
For Bernice Jimenez, it's basic math. $47,000. That's the sticker price for tuition, room, and board at Princeton University. But her family only makes about $50,000 a year.
It's just amazing just how expensive it is.
Clearly, the college senior needed a lot of help.
Students from families that have incomes under $60,000 are generally what we describe as our highest need students.
And that help came in the form of a no-loan grant from Princeton.
The grant I have is about $40,000, which covers most of the tuition. That leaves about my family contribution about to be a little over $5,000, which is still a pretty big hit to my family, to my parents especially. So my federal work study is $3,000. And that basically pays for my school books, the clothing that I need to buy, and all the little miscellaneous items. My parents then they have to pay for me $2,000, which is way better than $45,000.
In 2001, Princeton was the first university to offer no loan aid packages. Now 43 universities across the country have followed suit. That's according to the Institute of College Access and Success. Hundreds of Princeton's undergrads are getting help just like Jimenez.
You're talking about 400 students in each graduating class.
And when you come out of Princeton, just to be clear, you're coming out of here debt-free, right?
Absolutely.